Kind of scared. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm pretty surprised it worked again. So we're on a roll tonight. What's going on, gearheads? Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 4-3. Kind of lost track at this point. I'm about 95% done, and it's kind of one of those projects where you're starting to kind of drag along, getting all the little minor stuff cleaned up here and there. We were a little delayed on the project, waiting for some parts to come in, which we did get them in, and working on the wiring harness in the meantime. Unrelated to the build, we actually picked up our 69 Chevy small block 350 for our little T-bucket hot rod build that's going to be coming up here. So pretty excited about this. So kind of been focusing on this a little bit instead of the bike, but we got to get the bike done so we can get it out of the garage and get into something else over here, which we'll talk about that a little more later. But let's jump in. All right, so let's step over here and look at this light. I picked this up off Amazon. It was about the cheapest one I could find. It is a budget build, right? Let's remember that. So it was 12 bucks. So what's interesting is it's got, I already checked it, 2 hots in here, hot here. And what's odd about this is it's got some very interesting colors. So I put together just a simple harness here. And then for the ground, what was interesting, let's make sure we put it in the right one. So we ground it here. It's kind of amber. And then on this one, we've got a white. I don't want the amber at all, so we're not going to use that one. But what's interesting is there's the, well, it did work. I don't know why it's not working now. That's weird. Okay. So let's see what we got over here. It's gonna work spade-wise. I got scrap wire laying around, so I'm not really going for a color combination here. It's whatever I got. Because I'm gonna end up wrapping this anyways, and then you won't even see it. So, God forbid if anybody ever has to do any wiring on this sucker in the future. You might as well just start from fresh. So now we gotta get all this pretty much pushed in. We're gonna leave that right there. And then I'm gonna use the old ring here. I did look online for another one, and I can't seem to find one that actually has a good review on it. So they're all trash, saying that they're junk, so I'm not even gonna waste my money on that. So just use the old one for now. So remember, we got one ground and one positive. So more than likely we'll just go to the key, and then we'll go to the Vose for the ground. But yep, that'll go right in there. All right guys, so next thing we gotta do is actually put the line on the brake master cylinder. You're probably thinking to yourself, hey, I just saw this on the bike. Yeah, you sure did. I had to take it off so we could build the brake lines. Well, not really build the brake lines themselves, but do need to put them together. Okay, so we've got our master cylinder here, okay, and then here's our line. We're gonna run it underneath the frame. Now, we do have a brake switch that we're gonna use and wire in at a later date, but we're not gonna use it now. So what we need to do is we need to take the banjo bolt. Harleys are pretty straightforward with these. They seem to have their own size compared to all the imports. And we'll tighten it up once we get the bolt through. And then for the switch, it'll go through there. So take one of our copper washers here, put that right through there, and then take the other washer there, and we're going to thread it right into the back of that there. Make sure you don't destroy your little cable here. All right. We'll probably go with that for right now. We'll tighten it up on the bike. And then for the other side, banjo bolt. Screw that right on there. And then this is the one that's going to go into the master cylinder. So that'll just go right through there, and then another crush washer. I'm sorry, into the brake caliper. So that'll go in and then tighten that in. So grab ourselves another crush washer there. Boom. Let's jump over to the bike. Just get those lined up there. Such a pretty master cylinder. Such an ugly chain plate. All right, and then what we'll do here is we'll get these tightened down, and then we'll tidy up the line a little later. I did pre-run it, so we're gonna have to kind of dodge that chain there a little bit, but we'll get it, it'll work out. So moving right along on the bottom of the motor, we got that done, but these lines need to be hooked up, and I forgot to do these. But one thing I want to mention on these are the lines that go to the oil filter on the back side of that. Harley does not make these lines anymore, nor can they get them, and I haven't been able to find any aftermarket lines. So I actually had to get these custom made, or this one custom made by a hose supply, pretty much, let's just say a hydraulic line guy. Kind of does it out of the back of a storage lot. Kind of sketchy, but pretty cool. So I had to get these lines done. So if you're doing any type of repair on the oil pump here and you need new lines, you're gonna have to get these done. And these tend to leak as well on the older ones. So we got our wires here for our headlight for the final part. And we got one ground here and then one hot. That hot's gonna go to the key. But if you look back at episode 2, we ran the hot, one of the wires to the actual coil itself. So we're gonna put it right on the same one for the headlight. That way it'll get constant power as soon as the key's on. So we got the battery out. So now we need to test our headlight. So we'll just use some little jumpers here and ground that out there, and then our positive, we're just going to use a jumper, and it's on the end of the cable there. I'm going to put that right there. So we're going to need to test out the key. Oh shit, making all this noise here. So we do need to test out the key, which we got it pulled out there. So I know the key is in here. Well, actually no, the key's right there. Thought it was somewhere over in the junk pile. All right, so got the headlight there. Put it somewhere safe. And say a prayer for the third time. Oh, it works. All right, so we've got our starter temporarily wired up too. I pulled this back out of there because I wanted to make sure everything worked before we started routing. This is a super cheap cable. I mentioned this in the last episode. This is about as cheap as it gets from China, so we're gonna have to fix that or put some better ends on there because they're starting to peel out. But let's see if it starts. I haven't tried it yet. It is grounded out properly. I had a bit of a little fire that happened from using a tiny ground, not enough. But let's jump over to the key side here. It does need to try to get turned over. So we're set here. Headlights there. So Headlight should come on. Perfect. I'm kind of scared. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm pretty surprised it worked again. So we're on a roll tonight. All right, so for this, I've been pretty much using the same size hardware all around. Tractor Supply Special on these. So I didn't want a bunch of different sizes on everything. So I just pretty much got the same. Do need to get these set here. Just like that, and then take our tray and put that through there and get that pushed right through there. So we're going to do washer and then a lock washer on the bottom and then a nut. Sneak our little battery pack in here, just like that. There's a tab right there. So that's going to go right on the other side of the harness. And it looks like we're actually going to have to spin that around. I don't know how I like that, but whatever. Good enough. So if you take a look at this chain here, this is one of those ones that actually doesn't have a locking, let's say, master link that slides in. Not really too sure why. I'm normally used to those. This is actually a press-on one. So I'll show you to put these on. Essentially, you just need a little clamp here and a nut. So get your clamp ready here. And then what you're going to do is you're essentially going to place the nut on the pin and then clamp down. So this is definitely not the right way to do this, but this is how I do it. So what we need to do now is we're kind of at that point where we need to top off some fluids. So this sporty tank is obviously aftermarket. So an OEM tank is going to take about, well, Sporties, Evos, it's about 3 quarts. Now, just because the motor takes 3 quarts, well, or the tank can hold 3 quarts, doesn't mean the motor needs 3 quarts. So you can actually overfill these tanks, which causes the oil to, path of least resistance and then blow out of the top there. So we're going to fill that up. And then we're going to fill that up with some .3 that we have. So it'll be kind of nice to, nice fresh master cylinder there. So that'll be fun. Hope we don't spill it and it takes off all the nice pretty chrome there. Let's go to the primary side though. This is where it gets interesting here. So unlike the V-twins, Sportsters only have 2 kinds of lubricant here. You have your primary, and then you have your engine oil, essentially. On the big V-twins, you've got 3 lubricants: transmission, primary, et cetera, wiper fluid, street glide fluid, whatever you want to call it. But for this, just going to take this off. We're going to check the tension. You can adjust it down at the bottom here. Some people fill up here. I'm going to fill up here so we can check the tension. And this is going to take a quart. Let's look at what oil we're going to use though. So Harley calls for whatever, HD 350, whatever. They don't design their motorcycles for their own oil. They don't manufacture their own oil. So we're going to use 10W40, Yamalube for the engine. And then I have some Redline here that I've been pretty much sitting on for a few years. So then I got this cool filter that I use for my Street Glide, so we don't spill it. We'll figure out how to use this one, figure out the orientation. Not really too sure. And then our .3 brake fluid there. So let's start filling this sucker up. Let's throw down our knee pad there. And then let's jump in here. Got all these tools scattered everywhere. It's driving me absolutely insane. But as soon as I clean them up, then I need them again. It's almost like a big pipe. We'll put that in there just like that. Pretty interesting design. And then we've got about 2 liters in here, so make sure it's not bad oil. I've done it before. God, I hope this thing doesn't leak. So we'll do it slow. Hopefully, pretty much all our connectors are tightened up. That's what I'm hoping. Otherwise, we're gonna have oil everywhere. And then for this part here, we'll just pull this little cover off here and be super careful filling this. I think you should shake this stuff up. It's been sitting for years. Yeah, let's do it for good measure. So I got this old Craftsman wrench here that my dad gave to me. And he said he never ever used it, and it was a novelty item. And yeah, Craftsman doesn't make it anymore, but I use the shit out of it. Now some of the newer Sportsters are gonna have 2 screws here, and then those screws will have O-rings, and then you have your big O-ring on the back. So this is just gonna have that one in there. All right, let's move this over just a little bit, and we'll pull that out there. And we'll set that on our little piece of cardboard there. Now, if we get in here deep, you can actually see the chain there, and then you can push it up and down. If it seems too loose, we can tighten it up. It's pretty loose, not too crazy. And then down on the bottom, there's a bolt you can adjust, which is pretty quick to tighten everything up, and then you can actually tighten that up there. There's a shoe that runs on the bottom here, which provides that pressure to tighten that up there. So we'll stick that right in there like that. And this here is exactly 1 quart. So I'm gonna add the whole bottle. Hopefully we fix all the damn leaks though. All right guys, so I think we've made pretty good progress. I think it's time to tidy up some of the wires, get the tank on, and get it plumbed up. So guys, the motor hasn't been running some time, so we're gonna add some snake oil to this thing here. And I can tell you, I have not gone ahead and I haven't run it, so God knows if it's actually gonna work. I really hope it does. So we'll take these plugs out and we're gonna drop just a little bit of that Marvel's Mystery Oil in there, just to give it some lubricant, because I did put fluid in the filter, but ended up probably draining back there. So we'll pull these out. Couldn't find my syringe, so I'll just drop a little bit in there. And then put these plugs right back in. All right, then for this, we pulled out the good stuff. So, yeah, got you there, didn't I? So, I normally use these on motors that haven't been running in a while. It's pretty expensive stuff. Well, it's $5, but it's still overpriced. So I'll put some of this in the tank here and hopefully it doesn't leak. For this here, we're going to use just a little bit of starter fluid. Get it in there, nice and clean. Wish me luck. ho ho. Well, that's not good. Well guys, I'm a little disappointed. I did get it started. We didn't get to ride it because there is a significant crazy oil leak at the bottom when you start it. So we know it runs, but it's pouring oil out of a hole that I've never seen before. So we're gonna take a closer look at it, do some inspection. I think there's supposed to be a vent tube there that's supposed to run back to the oil canister. Really not too sure. Somebody at one point cut the cam cover on the bike, and we're gonna probably have to pull that off and take a deep dive into that. So again, hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Next week, we're gonna be doing some stuff to the Duramax, so look forward to that. Definitely haven't done anything on the Duramax in quite some time, so that'll give me some time to get episode 4, which it'll be a short one. I crammed a bunch of episodes into this one. So look forward to seeing you next time. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below.